So today we're going to talk about three different stages of swallowing, and the first one is the oral stage, which can be separated into oral preparation and oral transit. So to label a few things, right behind your teeth is the alveolar ridge. Here are your teeth, your lips. This is your mandible bone that helps move your jaw up and down. You have your tongue, bolus, which is, in other words, food. You have your soft palate or velum. These little things back here by that is called the fosses. And then you have a hyoid bone, and that pretty much wraps it up. So, your oral preparation, first part of the oral stage, prepares your food. So, your mouth opens to receive the food, and your lips and teeth help remove the food from your fork or spoon, whatever you put in your mouth. The tongue shapes the food and puts it in the right spot. Specifically, your back teeth are where the food is chewed and broken down, and that grinding breaks it down. The velum, like we said, this soft palate, is lowered so you can breathe through your nose while you're chewing. And then the tongue does a test. If it feels the bolus or food is ready and in the right shape, you prepare for swallowing. If it does not feel like it's ready, it'll take it back to your molars or your back teeth for more grinding. So then for the oral transit part, it's where swallowing really starts. The tip of your tongue goes to that alveolar ridge, and the tongue moves the bolus back in the back of your mouth. The velum is still lowered or depressed to keep the bolus in your mouth or oral cavity. Then we talked about this hyoid bone. That will elevate a little, and the bolus will contact those fosses we talked about and the velum or soft palate, and either one or both together will activate the next stage. So the next stage is the pharyngeal stage. And so again, here's our hyoid. This time we can see the epiglottis. We have the area where the larynx or your voice box would be. You have true vocal folds and then false vocal folds. So true vocal folds are what really vibrates when you speak, and the false vocal folds protect those true ones. Again, we have our bolus or food, our tongue, and then this time we have this portion right here called the upper esophageal sphincter. So this is where your body protects your airway and pushes the bolus or food down. When the bolus goes down, your airway closes starting from the bottom where we talked about these true vocal folds. They will close first, then the false vocal folds, and the structures above these folds squeeze together. The epiglottis is now bent over to protect that airway or bent down. Then your larynx, that area, and the hyoid bone that we talked about move up and forward because this is what opens the upper esophageal sphincter from being closed. The upper esophageal sphincter is closed most of the time, but it opens during swallowing so that this bolus can go down in a straight line. The bolus is pushed down by pressure, and your tongue pushes the bolus, your throat lifts, and the muscles in this area squeeze to push the bolus down. After the bolus passes, everything in this area goes back to the original position where it started. And then our third and final phase is the esophageal phase, which is pretty quick, but we have our upper esophageal sphincter, which we already talked about, and here's the bolus or food, and then now we've added the lower esophageal sphincter. So bolus is taken from that upper esophageal sphincter to the lower esophageal sphincter and happens by wave-like contractions in the tube using both automatic muscles and muscles you can control. And finally, we have three important glands that we want to touch on because they help produce saliva, and saliva is important to take that food and make it a bolus. And so, first we have this parotid gland. It produces serous saliva, which is thin and slippery to help move the bolus down into that pharynx area. Then we have the sublingual gland, which is right here, and it produces mucoidal saliva, which is thick, and it binds the bolus or clumps it together into one unit. And then finally, we have our submandibular gland, and that provides a combination of both salivas together. So I hope this was helpful in learning just a little bit about how we swallow.